It's hard to believe, but this year the PlayStation 3 will turn 15 years old. But is it possible that this is actually the best time there's ever been to own a PS3? Well, today we'll find out. Back in 2006, Sony was riding high after the record-breaking success of the PS2 and released the PlayStation 3 to the masses on November 17, 2006, with an eye-watering starting price of $500 for the 20GB base model and $600 for the Wi-Fi equipped 60GB model. Sales were slow to start, but eventually prices fell and developers caught on to the PS3's unique hardware, and it not only outsold the Xbox 360, but it actually had some of the best looking games of the 7th generation. Over the course of its lifetime, over 2,200 games have been released for the PS3, many of which were exclusive to the system. Some of these exclusives have been ported to other systems, like the Uncharted series, but since neither the PS4 or PS5 can play native PS3 titles, the PS3 is still the only way to enjoy some games like Resistance: Fall of Man or MotorStorm. Not only that, but if you get one of the more rare backwards compatible models, you'll be able to enjoy the entire library of PS1 and PS2 games on the PS3. Nowadays, almost any Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace will have a few PS3s, ranging from about $100 for a decent slim or super slim model, up to around $300 for a nice backwards compatible model. There are a few things to keep in mind if you plan to purchase one of these systems secondhand though. Number one, these systems use NEC token capacitors. They're a known weak point of pretty much any device they're put into, and they're prone to failure. But you don't necessarily need to be paranoid about them as long as the system doesn't get too terribly hot. Which leads us to point number two. The thermal paste in these systems is probably shot, as it is in most tech over 10 years old. You may find a late model super slim that's still running nice and cool, but most fat and slim consoles will need not only the thermal paste between the heat spreader and the heatsink replaced, but also between the die and the heat spreader. Removing the heat spreader is tricky, and it can easily destroy your system if it's done incorrectly. But now that I have done it to my 160GB fat console and repasted everything with Arctic MX4, it never exceeds 65 degrees Celsius, even when playing demanding games like Uncharted 3. Console specs are somewhat irrelevant as long as the gaming experience is good, but the PS3's unique hardware is definitely worth mentioning. It combines one of the most unique processors ever made, honestly, and certainly the most unique to ever be put in a console, the IBM Cell Broadband engine, and it pairs it with a 256MB NVIDIA GPU and 256 megs of RAM. That NVIDIA GPU is roughly equivalent to a 7800 GTX. The hardware has honestly been covered in detail in a plethora of videos already, but suffice it to say, it is very impressive. A big perk of PS3 ownership these days is the jailbreaking scene. Not all models can be jailbroken, but the ones that can let you do some really nice things, like monitoring system temperatures for instance, or manually adjusting the fan speed, enabling remote play for all games, and allowing many PS2 games to be played on non-backwards compatible systems. We won't get into the specifics since this isn't a tutorial, but it's really not that difficult, and if you own a jailbreak compatible PS3, you really do owe it to yourself to jailbreak it. Modding aside, the PS3 does make an excellent home entertainment system even today. As long as you don't need 4K or HDR, Netflix, YouTube, and Spotify all work absolutely fine. And thanks to its, at the time, forward-thinking Blu-ray drive, it actually makes a really good Blu-ray player. I actually bought mine specifically for this reason. The PS3 supports 7.1 channel high-res audio, like DTS HDMA and Dolby True HD. And standard Blu-rays actually look really good connected to my Panasonic Plasma TV. And honestly, nothing on the PS3 seems terribly outdated. The system design is still a thing of beauty, the UI is quick and snappy, and there really wasn't as big of a jump in graphics between the PS3 and the PS4 as there was with the PS2 to the PS3. The controllers haven't aged quite as gracefully as the Xbox 360 controllers in my opinion, but the wireless connection has been rock solid, and they remind me of the good old PS2 days. It can also be a really fun system to collect for. Quite a few of the PS3's standout games things like Tomb Raider 2013 I've got here, got beautiful limited edition steelbook releases, most of which can be found for 20 to 30 bucks nowadays. Normal games are also really cheap. Most of them can be had for 5 to 10 bucks depending on what title you're after. Ironically, making the once overpriced PS3 an excellent choice for those on a budget. So whether you've been rocking a PS3 for 15 years or you just got one yesterday, sound off in the comments down below and take pride in it. Some of the best games of all time, not just exclusives. Titles like Bioshock Infinite, Mirror's Edge, Uncharted, The Last of Us, Burnout Paradise, Red Dead Redemption, and so many more are yours for the playing. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked the video, hit like, get subscribed, and ring the bell so you don't miss out on any of my future videos, and I will see you guys in the next one.